I always start by clicking Start New Return, and here you require double entry for the social to ensure that you're entering the social correctly when doing a return. Alrighty. So now that I'm here, I'm going to ask with filing status. I'm just going to start with single because I don't know yet. I haven't asked this client any questions. I haven't got any documents, any of that. So I'm going to default to single. If you don't know how to answer that question for filing status, we also have a filing status wizard. By clicking this wizard, these will be several questions that you can ask your client in order to find out what their um, tax status would be, filing status would be. So, were they considered married by the end of the year? You can click nope. So, you're considered married for tax purposes if your spouse passed away during 2022 and you did not remarry. So, in the case that you are a widow or a widower, this would be, you will still click yes for this tax year. I'm going to click no. Now I'm going to ask, was I a citizen or resident alien by December 31st? Yes, I was. Have you ever been married? Click no. Did you pay more than half the cost for keeping up the home where you lived during the year? So, if you're a parent, you live alone, or you just, that's what that question means. Who paid the bills? Did you pay more than half of them? And you click yes or no. Did anyone live with you more than 6 months during the year? Select yes if you had a child born during the year or a child under the age of 19 who died during the year. So let's just say yes, we have a dependent. Was this person living with you a citizen or resident alien? Click yes. Was a person living with you married? No. This person's relationship to you affecting your filing status. Do any of these describe your relationship? Your child, stepchild, foster, descendant, any of them, sibling, half sibling, or step two. I'm going to click yes. So now the next step is, do any of the following statements apply to the person who lived with you? 18 years old or younger by the end of the year, 23 years old or younger by the end of the year, and a full-time student any 5 months of the year. Permanently and totally disabled. I'm going to click yes. Did you provide more than half of this person's support? Yes. Is this person a qualifying child of someone else other than you? Nope. You have a qualifying person. Continue. Is the only reason you would be able to claim this person as a dependent because you're multiple support agreement? No. Based on your answers, your filing status should be head of household. So, based on that questionnaire, it produced an answer. So, if those are questions that you know to ask um, a taxpayer or client prior to going to this wizard, then you could go ahead and select that answer. But again, that's kind of like the guided method for those people that are still new, kind of understanding um, those types of issues or questions. So now I'm going to go ahead and enter the information. Uh, date of birth, social that I entered earlier, carry it over. Occupation, I'm going to just put tax preparer. So taxpayer can be claimed as a dependent. This is very crucial. If, let's just say, this return that we're doing right now has a dependent that is 22 but in college, when you do that person's return, if you do that person's return, this box would be checked on that dependent's return. So anybody that's a dependent, this box will be checked. Next, there's a few other questions: wishing to contribute, serve in the combat zone, affected by natural disaster, receive, sold, exchange digital currency, reading communications. Other than English, written communication from the IRS in accessible format. So basically, any way the IRS sends you documents, if it's other than English, you can say, hey, I want the documents in another language and select that language. If you prefer IRS accessible format, and there's standard print, large print, Braille, audio, plain text, Braille, Braille ready file. So that will be how the IRS will communicate with you in the instance that they send you any information. Here, I'm gonna just enter the address, and I'm just using pre-filled data that I've used in the past. And then right here, if you want to invite this customer to customer portal, you can either send the link or your email, or you can enter the phone number, type it here and send the invite, and they can create their own portal. All right. All right. So now I did answer that this person had a dependent when selecting the filing status. So now I'm going to click yes about the people that I want to claim on return. Go ahead and answer that. Put the date. No social. Right here is what's this individual a U.S. citizen? Yep. What is the relationship? Son. And then check anything that applies here. So you can go and read those. The person was over the 18, was a full-time student. The person was disabled. Check if this qualifying child is not your dependent. Check if this you wish not to claim the dependent. Check if the dependent is married. Dependent made over $4,400. Dependent qualifies for multiple support declaration. Leave those blank because none of those apply. And now I am completely finished with adding that particular dependent. If I have additional dependents, I would just click add dependent here for qualifying child, and then I can go on and do the next dependent. Now I'm here. Now that I'm here, I can begin entering the income, deductions, taxes, payment estimates, or miscellaneous forms. However, I like to talk about this button here. So by clicking the client's username or name, you can go ahead and select Quick File. Under Quick File, this will allow you to enter the forms that you already know that this client plans to file. So if they have a W-2, I can enter W-2. If they were in school or paid any loan interest or mortgage interest, and I type 1098. For the sake of training, I'm gonna do student tuition. I'm gonna do the 2441, which is childcare, but I can also search by using the name of the document. I just know the numbers and I enter the numbers, and I might be able to pull those up. And now I'm going to click continue. Now that I've selected those two documents, it's automatically going to take me to the first document, which was a W-2, and I'll begin filling that out. So I am in the W-2, and now I can begin entering the document information that's listed on the W-2. So I'm just going to run through this really quick. Probably have some information already. Now I'm going to the wages. With wages, wages are always automatically calculate the Social Security, Medicare, Social Security tax, and Medicare tax. However, if these things are different on the W-2, you can manually make those changes. If I want to go in now, I'll be manually entering the federal tax withheld and then Social Security tips if there's any allocated tips, dependent care benefits, as well as non-qualified plans or unreported tips. Next, I will go into the codes. So the codes, any codes that are listed on the W-2, this is where you would enter that information. So if it's code A, you select code A, enter the dollar amount for code A. If it's a code double D or DD, you enter code DD, enter the dollar amount, so on and so forth. If there's a retirement plan, because they have a 401k, you can do that here, as well as the 14 only will allow you to select what's there. So if it's not listed, I always advise using not listed other. Next, I'm going to go into railroad. If there's basically anything on a W-2, you'll fill that out to its entirety. If you have a state and you're filing state taxes, you can enter that state information here. You can also enter the state information on the client intake or client information form too, and it'll automatically generate that state tax return when necessary. But if you didn't do it and you do it here, then that state tax return will be generated then. I'm gonna go ahead and click continue. Well, if I had multiple W-2s, although I didn't select multiples in the quick file button, it'll still also allow me to save and enter another. So if I had multiple and I had, if I just want to go ahead and enter it, I click save and enter another, and it'll generate another W-2. I'm gonna just click continue, and we're gonna go ahead and move forward. There we go. So now I've entered it, W-2. Now, once I click continue, well, before I click continue, you're going to see some things populated. So the AGI based off of the income as well as the estimated tax return amount based on that income in that one dependent. So now I'm going to click continue, go to the next step, and let me see what happened. I should be going into the next form. Next form was selected was the let's go to 1098T. So now, made all of my wages. Now it asks again, have you entered all of your income to adjustments to income? I have. I don't have any documents to add. I can click yes. I'm going to say that it's the parent that's in school. And here I'll answer these questions accordingly. Has a Hope Scholarship been claimed on the 4 prior year returns? Was this student enrolled at least half time? Did you complete 4-year post-secondary before the end of the year? Were they convicted before the end of the year of a felony or possession or distribution of a controlled substance? Next, do I have the 1098T? Did you receive it before? Let's just say we did. And now I'm just going to add some info. Now I've added the college. my qualified expenses based on expenses they provided to me. Now click continue. Now this may change. So right here, change based on adding that document.
Oh.
So next, I've done that. I've done that. The next thing. So now, if I wanted to add the daycare form, I could select the daycare form and add that for that particular dependent. So next, I'll start by adding the provider. Right here, amount paid to the provider for childcare. So if we paid anything here, it'll also tell you if there's anything on W-2 box 10, you would enter that amount here as well. If it's a Hawaii tax ID number, you would enter the 12 digits there. Also, if this is a California state return, you would enter the phone number to the daycare there. Go ahead and click continue. Next is going to be to the dependents. Under the dependents, I'm going to add the qualifying expenses by clicking the edit button and entering the dollar amount that I said I paid the daycare. Once that is added, I've allocated those expenses to that for that provider, for that dependent. I can move on to the next step. So if I have any additional income for, this question basically says additional income for taxpayer for purposes of the credit. So figure out amounts and enter. Figuring out how many months were a student disabled, did not work, do not include any month in which both you and or your spouse were both students. So if I say I was a student for 3 months and I did not work during that 3 months, I will move on to step 2. Step 2 is going to say if you have one or more, if you have just one qualifying child or paid expenses, multiply the number of months in step 1 by $250. So I said it was 3 months. And once I do that 3 months times the 250, that'll be the dollar amount that I enter in this field here. So that 250 times the 3 would be 750. And that's what will go here. Benefits that were on your W-2. Benefits, do not enter an amount from your W-2. Employer paid benefits. Fortified employer paid benefits, carryover benefits. If you have those, you would know. You would just follow the instructions based off of the documents you received. Did you pay expenses for 2021 by during 22? I'm going to click no. And then the last question is, are you considered unmarried for the purpose of this credit? I'm going to click yes. And now I'm completely done with adding the 2441, which is the child care credit. So now that I've done that, if I was to click continue through the system, other taxes, so it went from income to deduction, now other taxes, payments, miscellaneous form. I'm just going to continue through all of those. And after I'm done with that, I should now be asking I'll be in the health insurance field or question or column. I did not have any Affordable Care Act insurance plans. Now your return is complete. Continue to summary. And I've done everything thus far that I should. Now, since I have a dependent on here, I click continue. It should now take me to my due diligence paperwork for my dependent. Yep, that form's there. Let's see. Yeah. So now I'm going into earned income credit. Now I'm under the due diligence checklist. With the taxpayer, spouse, a non-resident alien? Nope. Is this taxpayer a qualifying child of another person? No. Did you complete the return based on the information provided? Did you interview the taxpayer and ask adequate questions? Did you review the adequate information provided? Any information mentioned, does any of this information seem to be incorrect, incomplete, inconsistent? Did you satisfy record retention? This is where I'll list all of my documents. And did you ask the taxpayer whether he or she could provide documentation to substantiate eligibility? Yes. Did you ask whether any credits is allowed? No. Is this child currently intended to be a qualifying child of any other individual tax returns? No. Have you determined? Did you explain? Did you explain? Does this child reside with you? Did you explain? Did you provide the 1098-T? Have you determined? Did you certify? And I'm done. So that's going to be it. Next thing will be notes. If I want to add notes, I can do diligence notes. Basically says everything. This is the due diligence. What I do for due diligence notes is my interview. So I asked specific questions and they gave me specific answers. I just listed client stated that they were sole provider of place of that provided more than 50% of income to support the dependent. Dependent went to daycare while the taxpayer worked, so on and so forth. Taxpayer gave me 1098-T and expenses for school credit. All of that could be notated here. All right. So now I am done. So this part is a very crucial part as the federal return selection. So if you were going to charge this client up front, e-file and paper return is totally fine. Now, if you wanted to charge the client, use the bank product for this particular client, then right here, it'll show the bank that you're using. So let's say STPCPG, direct deposit, SBTPG check or money card or whatever. That'll be listed right here, or a refund advantage. Either one of those will be listed here based off of the bank that you select to use. If you don't select a bank product, then you won't get paid for that return unless you charge the client up front. So the client would have to pay whatever you charge them up front if you do not select a bank product. So now this is basically talking about the fees and showing you the fees. So these fees were generated based off of these itemized documents, itemized fees. So I have the fees set up to charge a certain thing based on the documents used. So for a 1040, it's a $400 fee. Schedule, earned income credit, $50. Child care credit, $10. School credit, $100. And then there's an electronic filing fee, bringing the total up to $610 based off of the calculated fees that I set for those forms that I used. If you have any partner products and you want to use it, Audit Maintenance Pro or Primary Defend My ID, you can do that here. Not just leave it blank. There's other things you can do too. So like us, for me and my team, if this taxpayer gave me 2 years worth of documents and I'm going to pay them, have them pay me out of their tax return because it's a bank product return. Since I can't charge since a bank, I can't file a bank product return for prior years. However, I can electronically file them. But if I filed them and I did not include an extra dollar amount here on this current year for bank product return, then you'll probably won't get paid for it. So it's totally up to you and how you manage that. If you wanted to do a discount, you could. The discount is automatically set as a default $1. But if you wanted to add, increase it, like I show you here, we could do so. So you could go in, increase it by say 600. Now the client will pay $10. Now that I've done that, I'm going to go to continue. After clicking continue, this is going to be where the submission page takes place. There's a lot more information and questions that will have to be answered based off of this being a bank product return. And then you'd answer those questions, then you would get here. Since we just did an e-file return, it took us straight to the bank product information or the banking information and straight into submission. Submission can be signed with your mouse if they're in the office, or you can send them the request for signature via app and or client portal. So either one of those could be used for signature collection. Or if you have if you're in office and you have like a signature pad or whatever integrated with the system, use that too. So that will complete basically how to do a return. So I have a few questions in the chat, so I'll go ahead and ask those. So first question was,